Get ready for a major remodel, fellas. We're back in hardware mode.
All right, I think we should be all good.
Yeet.
What's up, guys?
We're gonna find out.
Yeah, we
We're
will.
gonna find out. We shall see.
This is my first YouTube live, so I have no idea what I'm doing.
It worked.
Hooray!
We're good.
That slight delay
Yeah,
scared me for a moment.
Yeah. I have the YouTube window open, and then there was like triple audio, and that was really confusing. So.
Yeah, I know I had to mute it. I was like, ooh.
See, we're just adding to the view count by watching it all ourselves as well, you know?
Yeah, that's also true.
Heck yeah.
All right, well, what's up, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of the Iron Idiots podcast, the first live episode. Let's see how smoothly this goes. I want to say what's up to everyone in the chat. Thank you guys for coming and watching this live. I really appreciate it. If you have questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. More than likely, we'll take a few moments throughout the actual live stream to pull some questions, so that way it doesn't end up just becoming a Q&A. But yeah, I'll say something when we get to that point, and then we'll pull a few comments out. But yeah, all right. So,
Danny, you should right-click all of our names and make us moderators so we can keep people in check.
Oh, that's true.
Heck yeah.
Oh, that is very true.
Oh, should we say something for you to do that? Blah. There we go.
All right.
Hi, Frank, Banana Man, Emily's Workshop, and Katie.
Emily's workshop. Emily's non-existent workshop? What?
Emily's
The workshop I don't have?
That thing.
So, as I mentioned, the theme of, I guess, this episode is, the growing pains of getting more than one 3D printer. At this point, we all have more than one printer, but we've also been doing a lot of this since we've only had one, whether it was, a itty-bitty Prusa or Ender or like a CR10 Max S5 level thing. I mean, Frank and I have...
You're the OG printer guy. I think you've had any the longest, right?
Yeah, I put my... Well, so I first got experience with 3D printing back in 2015, 2016, because my robotics club, we ended up... we won a small printer in a competition. We printed one baby Groot. Machine got a clog, no one knew how to fix it, and we never used it again.
Oh my gosh, Baby Groot, that's such a stereotypical first print.
Okay, but it's not the file that everyone always printed though. It wasn't the him sitting down. It was like him standing up. And I really wish I still had that print, because that was actually my first print ever. But unfortunately I do not. But yeah, after that, I put my first printer together freshman year of college, and slowly just became an addict and kept adding printers.
Became an addict.
It got out of hand.
The photo for this thumbnail was at one point my actual print lab. We had over 30 printers at the time. Frank now knows what it's like to be that insane and have that many machines. And
Except Frank's just one person and not an entire workshop.
Frank's living room is an entire workshop now, let's be honest.
Our formal
My house is a workshop.
Our formal living room is now a print farm, and now it's starting to get warm out again because we're in the south, and winter's a symptom, not a season. Yeah, it got out of hand quick. I just took my original CR10S down for a month because I just rearranged the garage. I pushed everything up against the wall. And on the top shelf, just sitting there collecting dust, was my CR10S, and I'm like, I should fix you.
The OG.
I should. You still printed for 2 years straight, no issues, never swapped the hot end, only changed the nozzle once or twice, no power supply, everything was fine. And then literally a few days before I had to pack up my house, pack up all the printers to move, the heated bed died. That was it. Wouldn't heat up anymore. It's wow. The little printer that could printed dang near the entire suit. You know.
Hmm.
CR10 that I printed that suit on, and then half of the other suit on, had a shorted pin for the heated bed plug, and they sent me a replacement, and then that one shorted, and so that's when I started not using my heated bed, because I literally just didn't have one, and then now I just don't use my heated bed on anything. So
I
here
just
we
saw
are.
I just saw Kira smiling at the idea of replacing hot ends and thermistors on a CR10.
Don't know if you can see this. You probably can't. It's been sitting there for months. I haven't touched it. It's like dusty. There's stuff all over it. It just it does not function.
Oh no.
Well, okay, the thermistor and the hot end, not the hot end, the heater cartridge. I've replaced them like 3 times now. It just doesn't work. So, it's just collecting dust at this point. I might just sell it.
A relic from a lost time.
Yeah. F.
Yeah, my
F's in the
OG
chat.
printer was it was a Prusa clone that I built as part of the club I was in freshman year of college, and it was like, when I say jank in like total custom build, I mean like we ourselves laser cut the like MDF board for the frames, and I custom measured and cut wires and soldered everything together. I wired up the heated bed myself, all that kind of stuff, and it was running an ancient version of Marlin pre-thermal runaway protection, which is why I no longer use him. But I named him Jarvis. He was made with light blue PLA for all the printed components, and he was the scariest machine I've ever used. Except we did have a printer in the farm. We nicknamed him Sparky.
Sparky?
No.
You can probably make some assumptions about how and why he earned that name. But yeah, that one was probably the most dangerous printer I ever used. But yeah, right now Jarvis is sitting under a plastic tarp somewhere in my garage back home in the Bay Area, just waiting for all my other printers to just break down and me to like desperately, like Iron Man 1, like going back to the old reactor or something, just like, I need this, like uncovering it and powering it up.
So let me ask the question. I'll ask a question for the now and future audience. Why would somebody want or need more than one 3D printer? Isn't one enough?
Impatience is honestly the main reason, if we're being honest.
Honestly, yeah, I mean, because in your head you think, before you get your second one, when you have one, you think, what if I could have this Iron Man suit in half the time, twice as fast? And you go, yeah, that's worth. And then after you get that one, then you're like, oh, this printer does something different. And then you get that one, and then you fall down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
See, for me, it was, I didn't want to slice things anymore, and I had an Ender 3. I had 2 Ender 3s, and so I was like, I'm going to get a CR10.
You held out a while on just the Ender 3. Like,
yeah.
You were like, I got 2 of them now. We're like, get a bigger printer, damn it.
No. So for me, it was that, but now that printer broke. But luckily, Soval was like, hey, you want a printer? I was like, thank you.
Our relationship with Emily is circling the drain. Do you want a printer?
I don't think they liked me, and when I reviewed their printer, they basically told me I was wrong. So
Like,
after I cut my finger, I slashed my finger.
What do you mean you cut your hand? You clearly don't know what you're doing.
It was like they emailed me.
If you were a real engineer, you wouldn't have cut your hand open.
There you go.
Interesting. It's fine.
It's okay. We'll be all right.
Yeah, because I know their SVO3s are like pretty good. Like every printer company has that one printer or that one model
Or
that's
several.
like their solid model. Like Creality has always had the Ender 3. So they're just probably going to be the SVO3. I mean, Frank's liked his. You're obviously getting good use out of yours, but then that SVO4, bruh, I don't know what they were on, but.
Hey, Danny, Do you think you can move up my audio mic in Discord? Can you right-click my name? Everyone's
Yeah.
saying I'm muffled, but it's weird because this is the exact setup I use all the time.
Just turned you up.
Can you hear me now? Good. Guess we'll find out in 5 minutes.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah. We'll see. Nothing's different. It's the same microphone.
Yeah, well,
Um,
there
like-
was weird audio stuff that I couldn't really tell when we were recording the first episode. That when I went back, it was just like everyone's audio was totally all over the place.
Mine was awful because I mean I wasn't here and I was using my AirPods connected to my laptop and for some reason that was like you could not hear me at all. It was really bad.
Episode 3, or whatever episode that will be, if it's not a live one, the best way is to, everyone said better, we all screen record on, if we're using like OBS or we're using Discord, we all record our own audio and then send Danny the direct bytes and then you just compile it.
Yeah.
Future problems.
Yeah, we managed to make this one live. That's the big jump. That's the big transition this time around. We'll figure out other problems for the next one.
Heck yes. Heck yes.
It's okay. We don't need to hear Frank. Kayla says.
Yeah. I know. I'll leave.
So
Leaves.
something I want to ask Frank. So you've obviously, I know you've like bought and fixed up your fair share of printers at this point, but you've also been given quite a few newer machines that also weren't exactly like tested out yet. You kind of just were an early
Who would
adopter.
do something so heinous as to send out a untested prototype of a machine and call it innovative?
So which
About
would
to
you
rat
say
somebody out.
like
I'll
which
rat
would you
anybody
say
out.
is the
Yeah, me too.
the more difficult thing to do? Like buying used printers and fixing them up, or having to like deal with troubleshooting a new machine that a company just didn't really feel like fully testing before they sent out?
If you gave me the option of 10 brand new printers from various brands, Sobel, Creality, Flashboards pretty much work. I can't say anything bad on them. But if you gave me the option of like 10 untested printers, you're like, some might be great. Look, this one can print upside down. Or 10 printers, like 10 CR10Ss, and they all have something different and wrong with them. Like this one has a bad hot end, this one has a, but I don't know what's wrong with each of them. I'd still take the 10 busted printers because I know I can fix, like, there's only like 3 things that could go wrong. Everybody freaks out about printers and they're like, well, this can break, and there's like 3 things in a 3D printer, and if it's not your board or your power supply, it's your hot end or extruder. Like that's it. There's
I
not
don't
much
know.
that can go wrong in those very basic systems.
That's 4 things. You're already getting too complicated here.
There's
You
like
promised
18
me
things.
there was
There's
going to be
there's
3.
like 25. There's 87 things that can go wrong with a 3D printer. But like that's why I did my second printer was the yellow CR10S, and he said it wouldn't print. He couldn't get it to print. It was fine. Like I literally built it, re-leveled it. He messed some stuff up, fixed it, and it chugged along with my original, But then you get something like the CR10S or CR10 Smart, and you're like, what?
It's a oof. It's a oof.
That printer is no longer with us. I actually just got rid of it last night.
Dang. I have mine. I use it if all my other printers are being used at the moment. And that's when I use
It's
it.
the overflow machine.
The overflow machine. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's kind of what it is. But, I don't know. I also haven't touched it, so I got it to auto level okay, and I haven't touched it, so it's level. So as soon as I touch it, then I'm not going to be tempted to use it. It's pretty much how it goes.
Someone's going to come over to your house and be like, oh, hey, this is a cool 3D printer, and shake it a little bit, and you're going to be like, ugh.
Be like, well, all right, there goes that one.
Time to pop the entire bed off. All 15 screws.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was a nightmare. But then you have printers like that where they're like, oh, it only has auto leveling and no manual leveling, so this is your only choice. Then you have printers like the FL Sun that me and Frank have both been using, and it like perfect.
Works. I have never used a better 3D printer. I haven't.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you put the thing together, you put it together, and the instructions are clear. And then, like, you hit auto level and you read the instructions word for word. You're like, okay, boop, 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 boop. And it's level.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. And it's amazing. Anyway.
Taylor, don't tell people I yeeted printers off the roof. They'll believe you because of who I am as a person.
We almost destroyed that A8, so we still got to do
It's
that.
on the I was talking to somebody about that last night.
That has to wait
We
till
gotta do
we come out again, though. Like,
I may be heading up to Raleigh, like area or early March.
I'll fly out just to see it
FYI.
destroyed.
You'll be here. We'll be here.
Which, by the way, is not where Frank is. Just
I'm around the Raleigh area.
okay.
So that's fine.
Anyway, just for location.
Who's gonna watch
Privacy.
this?
No one's gonna. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, don't
But
worry.
anyway.
We're on my
Somebody
channel.
gave a very
We're on my
vague
channel.
area,
You're fine.
Anyway, very vague area. But yes. Anyway, so I will be possibly going up there. So I don't know.
Yes. Do it.
So when I was out there, actually, I don't know if you remember, Frank, you and I tried making like a list of all the different like printer brands that we have worked with at that point.
Oh, that list has gone up.
Yeah, it has.
That list has gone up. Yeah. Flashforge, FL Sun, Kaiwu, Lulzbot, that showed up. That's a big box.
All right, here I have the list. I wrote it down on the notes app on my phone. So
Oh, he's got
as
it.
of just to put it out there, as of 6 months ago, between me and Frank, we had experience, not necessarily owning these, but experience working on like fixing and printing with Prusa's, Creality, MakerBot, Anet. As I said, I had a few custom built printers. Tronxy, Ultimaker, Sunlu, Lulzbot, Matter Hackers, Voxelab, Soval, Epax, Artillery, Quiddy Tech, Flashforge, Longer. I think some of these are actually just Filament brands. Says G-Tech? No, G-Tech makes printers, right? That is a printer brand?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not
the
getting
G-Tech,
confused.
A30T.
JG Maker, Mingda, Elegoo, Airwolf, Anycubic, TiVo, Dremel, and I now can say I have some experience with the Stratasys machine, as well as a little bit with Formlabs. So
Epax, BQ, FL Sun, Anycubic, the thing I just got, the thing in the mail, the thing, yeah, that.
Lulzbot.
The Lulzbot, thank you. Oh my god, that. Yeah, there's more. There's more. We're okay. We're fine. Yeah, are you accidentally muted again? Like the live stream on?
Okay, we're making sure.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say here because I have the least amount of printers out of everybody, so I'm just
Man.
kind of listening.
you just listen.
I can. But you still have multiple printers, and which
Yes.
drives people up the wall. Why do you need more? Why do you need 3 printers? Man.
Well, I mean, yeah, a good point to make, though, is the fact that, like, we have a lot of printers, but you're still putting out a suit faster than I am, at least.
True.
Those printers don't get a break.
I do not.
I'm literally only using one right now because it's mainly because I'm too lazy to like put new rolls on the other printers because what if I want to use that on the big one? Like I don't want to put on a small one, so I'm just only using one printer because
I
of
could
that.
Yeah,
feel that, though.
as soon as you get more than, like, 2 printers, you realize that, like, you need to be way more on top of buying filament.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're like, okay, I got 2 spools, 3
What you
machines.
just described is that's the 3D printing equivalent of like that same conundrum you run into in like video games where you're like, this is a really good item. I'm gonna save this for an emergency or the end of the game in the final boss battle, and then you get to there and you're like, what if there's a bigger emergency and you don't use it? Oh no.
Yeah.
That's definitely a good comparison.
Like, juggling filament. That's probably the worst. That is probably the worst part of having multiple printers is filament management. Having spools and rolls that are half empty, quarter empty, getting a scale, little like a food scale to
Yeah.
measure the way, oh, life changing, and it's just such an easy thing. Just that's how much that.
Yeah, I remember one of the biggest issues we always had in my lab was so because like, you know, broke college student vibe, like basically none of the machines that we owned were new, unless it was like Black Friday super clearance sale. Then we would buy some of the cheaper machines, but like pretty much everything was bought from different brands and repaired. So there was no consistency in the lab. And then same thing with filament. Whatever the cheapest was, we'd buy in bulk. So there was like no consistency in filament. So it was always just like trying to actually prep, you know, like 20 machines worth of prints with like 4 different filament brands, different materials, and everything. It takes so long to actually prep any files when you have that many machines, because it's just a matter of, it's like you spend hours like slicing and prepping parts to go on machines, and so there's way more downtime than I think anyone would expect when you have that many machines, because you're like, oh, I have a ton, I can just keep running them all, they're always making something cool. But it's like, then you also end up with like, yeah, there's like 2 days where just nothing goes on any machines, you have all of them and they're just sitting dormant.
It almost feels like a waste. Like when they're just sitting there off. You're
Yeah.
like,
Any, why are you not being put to work kind of thing.
yeah, it's aggravating.
It's like for me, either like, cause like I work in spurts, like a lot.
Oh yeah.
Like I'll go from like, y'all know that. I mean, I'll go from like I'm just chilling here, like I just made the Boba Fett staff, like blah blah blah, and then I'll be like, I must make Iron Man suit in 3 months, and so like I work in spurts, and so my printers will go from having like nothing on any of them for an entire week to the next week all of them are running at the same time, and it's like, huh. Okay, I don't know if this is a waste or if it's just the way it is, but
I mean, the second that the printer has paid for itself, either directly with selling prints or, you know, doing a commission, or indirectly by letting you do a project and then got you revenue on YouTube. I mean,
yeah.
It's yours. It's no different than, you know, a bike sitting in the garage, a drill sitting in your toolbox. It's just, it's there. You can use it when you need it, but if you don't need it,
Especially if you're given it. You know, now
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
like most of us now
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
when you Kier's like, yeah, like when you know, like I bought my first 2, and then after the 2, like printer companies were like, here you go, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know, because they wanted the exposure and stuff. It's not just like here's the printer, but you know,
most 3D printing companies, and I'll say this, are just slimy when it comes to advertising. All they care about is numbers. You have following on YouTube, that like any type of substantial number. Because I was talking to somebody about it the other day about it was Bill, the damaged Star Boost kid, and
Yep.
he was like, I remember asking you, like, how do you get these deals and these brands? He was talking about months ago when we first started chatting, and I'm like, just post stuff, just be out there. And he like,
Yeah.
it sounds so dumb. It's like, no, you gotta do this and that. Like, no, just exist in the community, and they'll find you because they want exposure. Like, they
Yeah.
will do the work, and they'll hit you up and, hey, do you want to test our printer? And
yeah, or
it.
reach out, you know. And I mean, that's something I've been having to learn because me, the way
You're
I
so
am,
bad
Danny's
at it.
laughing. I'm
You're
so
at
bad.
it.
I'm
You're
so
the
bad
worst at
because I don't like. I
Sarah's
feel like
bad
I'm
too.
overstepping for some reason. For some reason, in my head, I feel like I'm overstepping, and
You have to
like,
remember,
but
you're a thing to them. You're not a person. You're a way for them to make money. That's it. And that's, you know,
Yeah.
it's not the
But I'm
best
learning.
way to describe it, but like, you're just a,
yeah,
we
I
can
mean,
use her to make money. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, you send the links to your socials, and they see, ooh, however many million followers.
Yeah.
Okay, boom, you.
Hi,
have
I'm
one.
Emily. 3 mil TikTok.
3 mil TikTok. Hey, man, you know, when you're trying to make a living, you got to put the number there, because they shoot the email to you quicker that way.
But you can't
But-
say that because you don't email people.
I know. I'm saying they shoot the email to me quicker that way, not me to them. But yeah,
remember-
that is something I've had to learn though, because reaching out, it's okay. You're not overstepping. It's business, So I'm still learning.
Never.
Still learning.
Don't be stuck up about it. Like people, like I can imagine probably some of the emails some of these companies get. Like,
Oh yeah. Like, you sent Emily the engineer a printer. Well, I want one too. Like,
oh, boy.
yeah.
They have to exist. Oh man.
They
I'm
probably do.
kind of thinking about like some of the people in the hobby who may not like how much we've blown up, and maybe the emails they send companies. I wonder if anybody's ever emailed a company being like, "I can't believe you're promoting or working with that creator. Did you know A, B, and C?"
Oh, I've seen it happen. It's
Yeah. People just get jealous of like, well, like I had what like 800 followers like 2 years ago, and then
yeah.
and I've had people
when
be
we were
like,
all met, you were the smallest. You were the smallest
I
one.
was the smallest person, and I've had people be like super ticked off that like
She doesn't even.
got
She's
popular.
probably not
I
even a
didn't
real
need
engineer.
to. I don't know. Anyway,
Everything for anybody watching this, literally everything you see in Emily's background, her husband made it. Like that's it.
Yeah,
She
no,
doesn't
not
do
me.
any of her, none of her own work. She doesn't even send her own emails.
okay.
Wait,
Hold
Kira,
up. Wait.
you have the horns. You have the horns sitting right in the back. Say.
I know I noticed that last live stream that she was like sitting in between them, and they were like,
It's perfect. I'm never moving again.
she's gonna sit like that, stare into your soul.
Hold on, I have an idea.
Oh gosh, wait, someone do that again.
Go on. No,
Am I
don't
not-
mind me. I'm not doing anything.
Oh.
Scared.
Oh no, that's you. Just don't mind me.
Frank's just having a good time, not doing
He's
anything
making
in
a
the
meme,
background.
I was trying to make it look like I had a halo above my head, but it's not focused.
There you go. It's good enough.
Oh, okay. Man, Frick, I have Iron Man suits with their mouths half open behind me. I never shut them. I never shut them after I made.
See, last time I wasn't the only one with a lame background. Now I'm the only one with a lame background. I miss my studio
Got
area,
him.
but I'm
sorry.
getting that degree.
Getting that degree. That's right.
I have
One
to
each,
turn on
one
party
each, smart
mode.
boy.
What were you
Party
saying,
mode?
Kiara?
Party mode.
Oh no.
Kayla
Hello.
says to remember when Frank showed me your stuff. Thank you, Kayla.
It is working.
I buy all my
Alright.
same brand printers. So much more convenient. 3D Printer Academy. You are correct.
So Kiara,
But they all.
Yeah.
you've been awfully silent, so I'm gonna ask you a
Yes.
question now.
Got him.
Okay.
So as we said, like you pretty much just were grinding through builds with nothing but like an Ender 3. At what point did you actually like realize having the additional printer was that much more helpful? Like more in the sense of like what you could actually build by having a second printer as opposed to just like saving the print time.
Well, hard because it was like the reason I got my first printer was just for like tiny detail. This is like super distracting. I can't even focus.
Brave.
Oh, now it's just red. Gonna change? Okay, we'll keep it at that. But yeah, so I got it, and it was just for like tiny parts, like arc reactors and stuff. And I'm still looking at my background. And so the second printer was kind of like I wanted to print like both legs at once, for example. And then I realized I had to slice literally everything like into 4 pieces. And somebody actually donated, like they sent me money to buy my CR10, and it was kind of a blessing because I could print like big things when it actually worked. But yeah, Ender 3s are great when it comes to printing like hands and faceplates and stuff, but when it comes to full suits, get a bigger printer, please. Because I printed like this was all one roll of filament, and the thigh was like in two pieces. Like this would have taken me like what 6 different prints on my Ender 3. Like it would have been painful.
Oh no,
Just for the
yeah,
thigh.
that would
So
have not been fun.
yeah, and my
It's
Mark
possible.
42, a lot of it was printed on my smaller printers because that was started like a really long time ago, and I sliced up the majority of that suit.
But
Regardless,
like the Mark 42 is a lot more segmented. I feel like that's like if you were to look at like the Mark 3 or Mark 6, that's really long legs and really plain paneling. That's slice night. That's slice hell. It's like, oh god, where am I going to put the seam? There's nowhere to put the seam.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Taking this back.
So if any of you guys have questions, you can feel free to send some stuff in the chat. We can start picking out some questions to answer while we talk.
All of the questions, all of them. Say yes.
I think another growing pain of having multiple 3D printers that we can all definitely agree on is the amount of empty spools that you have just building a tower somewhere
Yeah.
in your house. And you're like, you
Everywhere
don't want to
around
throw
my
them out because you're like, this is super wasteful. But there's just like nothing you can do with them, and it's like there's
It's
a lot. There's a lot of cool things I've seen people do. You know, where it's like, oh yeah, you make a little drawer and whatnot, and it's like, yeah, that's great if you have like 4 or 5 spools. But when you have like 50 spools sitting in the corner of your house,
Best use I've ever found for them is Christmas lights or just loose miscellaneous wires like extension
Christmas
cords.
lights is a really good idea.
I know.
Using-
I'm
using
literally a
spools as
prodigy.
spools.
You're welcome.
Well, I don't know why I did not think about actually using them. I just put them in a stack, and I'm like, look how much filament I used. Like for me, it's more like I put them all somewhere, and I go, those are all full. They're not anymore until I get bored of it, and then I throw them away.
But when I left England, I donated over 200 empty spools about 150, sorry, to someone on Facebook. I posted them up. Somebody bought them or took them for like a craft project at a school. I don't know why. They showed up with a pickup truck, loaded them all up, disappeared. Didn't care.
Dang.
Now I just throw them out. Now I just recycle them when
Yeah.
a spool's empty. I saved one on my back wall behind some of my printers. I have a pegboard, and I have one of every different brand spool. So
Yep.
at any time, I can
Smart.
tar out the value of the weight of the spool and
Yep.
just sun loop, boop, boop, done. I always know the weight of it. And I have a collection of all the brands I've used. I could write them down, but then I need to do the math, and they're all some
Oh,
I know
no.
some loose spools weigh 131 grams. Fun. How do I know? But so many other. There was one roll. It was Amazon Basics or Filament. It was like 300 grams. Like the spool was so heavy for no reason.
hmm
But
Dang.
hey,
But now you've got companies like Printbed and Polymaker
I was
using
about
like
to
the cardboard
say-
ones and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
when I
Yeah.
saw
E-
when I saw Printbed was selling like standard filament, like Polymaker, when I saw like Poly Tower, I was like, oh, that's cool, but it's like only that one line. And I don't know if they're doing cardboard spools for others now. I might be wrong. But like when I saw Printbed
They're gold.
doing
But
cardboard for pretty much all of their stuff, I was like, why has this not been done yet?
oh,
yeah,
it
I
nev-
don't-
I
It was
love
amazing when I
Printbed.
saw that, and I was like, it's about time.
Yep.
yeah.
They're sending me some new PLA pluses, and I'm very excited. They
Yeah,
just
they,
released
they
them.
they reached out to me about that too. I'm very excited. This is
Yeah,
a
they're good.
Printbed Stan podcast.
Printbed stand.
Hashtag not a sponsor, even though they have sponsored me. But this isn't sponsored.
this one isn't yet, hopefully.
one isn't.
We got some questions coming in.
Yes, I
On
was
the
about to
Ender
start
3
clicking.
Max, blah, blah, blah. Can you guys wear your suits? John, I'm going to actually put you in timeout for that one. Yeah,
think
you're
the
now in timeout.
They straight up cover Frank's face. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Let's see. Hi, Brian.
We got. Oh wow, that is a long comment. I gotta adjust those settings.
It's about
The Fukus.
watched your review and wondered if you had anything to add. No, I didn't keep the Fukus out long enough to really like. I beat it up for a while, printed quite a few things on it, but never needed to upgrade anything.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good stuff about the machine. I've heard there's
Weird.
some
Just
occasional issues that can be a little complicated to solve because it is like a different machine. It's not as bare bones as like an Ender, but
It's very proprietary. Yeah.
all right.
It's
And
weird.
then we got a question
Such a
from
left field
Kayla.
brand.
If you could 3D
that?
print with a filament made of any material, what would you choose and why?
Sour Patch Kids.
Oh my god!
What was that?
Yeah.
That could not have been more in
Why are you
sync.
two friends? Yeah, right. That was
She
beautiful.
just has the bag ready. Okay, why Sour Patch Kids?
Cause then you can eat it.
Giant Sour Patch
Come
Iron Man.
on.
A giant Sour Patch
yeah.
Iron Man
You
suit.
wouldn't even have to sand it, cause you're gonna
Yeah.
eat it. Got him.
If this
Never mind.
didn't already have a title, I think that would have probably become the become the title. Giant 3D printed Iron Man suit of Sour Patch
Hey,
Kids.
dude, you know you can like. I wonder we can melt them down. We can try. You know what's the worst that can happen?
In or out or Whataburger. I've only ever had In-N-Out. It was
Same.
good. Great drunk food. Great late night drunk food. That was, but yeah,
I've only had In-N-Out too.
yeah, right. Because we're from the East Coast and we have better food. Anyway, I said it. Favorite printer of
Danny, no
each of
reaction.
you, whether you own it or not yet. Well, favorite printer. Danny, go.
Okay, you're gonna very much disagree with me on this, but of the machines that I have personally owned, my favorite and most reliable machine that I've ever had was my CR10S5. It was very heavily modded and purchased from Tiny Machines with their firmware. I'm not gonna mislead anyone to think that a standard stock S5 is by any means a good printer, but that one was my baby. I've just recently sold that one to a friend actually because I'm working on, I have the really big Tronxy that I'm planning on gutting and rebuilding, and I don't need two machines that size. But yeah, I had
It
run.
was my baby, but I sold it.
Hey, it has to leave the
I
nest
loved it
eventually.
with all of my heart, but
Money.
But yeah, that thing had run because it keeps the stats on the machine with the Tiny Machine firmware, which is really cool. It ran a total of 250 prints by the time I gave it away. The test print to make sure it was working at my friend's apartment was its 250th. Of those, 238 were successful prints, which is, in my opinion, actually a pretty dang good ratio. And it had basically 140 days of print time logged on it. So
oh, I
That-
kind of really wish like my CR10S had that, my original one.
yeah, right? I wish all my
Shit.
machines had that. I'm surprised it's not like a standard
I-
feature. It's so cool.
I think I'd have some records. I think I'd be on a leaderboard somewhere in some fashion for that printer. My God, God bless.
All right, well,
Engineer.
Oh,
everyone's
I'm
in
over
different
that way
spots.
for you. That FL Sun, dude. It's pretty good. It's for
But,
me.
like, why? Like, where did that come from? Like,
I know they only have like 3 printers too. They only have like
and
3 printers.
a delta of all body
Yeah.
configurations. They're like, yeah, screw it.
Yeah, you don't see
Delta.
deltas
I know.
anymore. Core XY, like, put them in the ground. You don't see new
It's-
deltas at all.
Like
It's
my
so
Surmoon can't
nice.
touch it.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that one. It's between that one and the Chitty. The Chitty is pretty solid. I mean that thing.
Yeah.
It's because it can print. You can switch out the nozzle and print with high temp stuff, too. And it's between those two. Those two are my favorite, I think.
All right, what about you,
You
Kira?
have the iMax, right? Oh, sorry.
I think it's the IMAX, something like that. But all right, Mr. Built, or
Oh no, her.
Kira.
We'll just
Oh,
do
Kira.
clockwise.
We were all in different directions.
The Sobel SVO3, just because it hasn't broken on me yet, and everything else is broken.
Oh,
So,
you're gonna get off this, and it's gonna just be on fire. You jinxed it.
But
I
not
haven't
like a
started
big
printing like
raging
a
fire.
I haven't
Okay.
started printing like a week, so I have no idea if it still works or not. I'm just gonna start it up today, and it's gone. It's not gonna work out.
Alright. And what about you, Mr. Built?
Did we say what was the question? What would
You're the one who asked. What's
his
the favorite
printer,
machine
it was
that
a
you have
favorite
used?
Printer. My favorite printer. That was I wasn't sure if we had gotten away from best or favorite. That's why I was like, wait a minute. My favorite printer is still probably my Pro V2, my CR10S Pro V2s. They have just been so. Any issues that I had with them have been my own dang fault.
I have
Leaving a filament out long.
I have not yet used a Pro V2, but I have recommended them many a time because of the things you have said about them.
It just works, man. I dragged the nozzle. I did a nozzle swap, and then my dumbass forgot to re-level it. So I got to drag the whole first layer, made a nice engraving on the build plate. That was fun. Won't do that again. But like, it's always my fault. It's like, everything that's happened has been my fault. Didn't clean the bed, didn't level it. The filament got messed up, or But that FL Sun is quickly approaching. I'm just waiting for something catastrophic to go wrong with it at this point.
I know.
But it's also a Delta, so I don't know how to fix it.
I've been like waiting, just like sitting here, like I keep running thing after thing on it, and
Did you
it
guys
does
see my?
fine. I don't. Anyway.
Did you see my Instagram story the other day? I literally walked into the
Yep.
room. Printer was cold. Hadn't touched it all day. SD card on, print left. Just left, and that was a real video. I came back in the room the next day, and it was the eyes to the Moon Knight helmet, and it was there. It was just there. Like that was magic. That was just like, oh, this is what they all should do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They all do not do that.
Yeah, and I do think it's like partly because of the fact that they're like the bed is just completely stationary, and so it can't get like out of place and stuff like that, and so I think that's part of it. It's like literally not going to budge.
Yeah.
But because of that, it's really freaking good. So
The upgrade, I'd like to see the Super Racer 2 or the Super Racer Pro or whatever to have a BL Touch built into it, or that level, like, because I remember some of the flash forges I used, it was a little level sensor that would flip out. It would just be like,
Yeah.
tink, and it would hit the corners. Do that, and maybe a bigger width, and like you're making a good thing better. You're not like there's nothing wrong with the printer. It's just like
yeah.
you're getting greedy. It's like what could make? Ooh, I want bigger prints. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just a big Delta.
Huge delta. Yeah, I know. I said the only thing that sucked about it was the fact that it was like so freaking big, but like the build volume, like
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's cool to say my 3D printer has carbon fiber, so
Oop.
it goes fast.
Well, yeah, and that's the trade-off you get with the Deltas. They're very, very tall, but when you think about it, it's like, a lot of the bed slingers, it's like they might not be overly tall, but it's like you need a lot of space in front and behind them because of those beds moving,
The Max.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Goddamn Max. Oh my god. The Max has a bigger forward and back footprint than the S5. I checked.
It does?
It does because the control board comes out so far and the way the feet are, you actually need more room for the Max. Just a little.
Yeah,
Yep.
the one thing that I do have to say, though, I wish that I will always love about the Max more than the S5 was the integrated, like, power supply and everything else, because the issue with the S5 is, like, you got to put it sideways on a shelf because of how deep it is anyway, but then you got to find a spot for that extra power box just hanging off the shelf, basically. It was such a
It's
pain.
awful. And the wires aren't long enough. Like, there's only one perfect spot for the S4 and S5's control box. Like, if it's not in that exact spot, the bed's going to pull it. Like, it's so annoying.
All right, here, we'll pull another question.
You know what's cool?
What's everyone's
Halo.
degree? Halo.
Me wanting to talk about Halo.
Yay, I'm in timeout. I'm sorry, I promise won't do it again. Kayla asking the real questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's our least favorite printer that we've used so far?
We all have one.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, I think we all do. Danny?
I'm trying to remember the name of it. Frank had one of these, and I told him about it.
The JG Maker. the
JG
Aurora.
Maker, thank you. Yes, we had the JG Maker version of the Ender 3 in our print lab because there was like a flash sale, and we basically, I think we got like
Or-
it was either 6 or 8 of them, and we got them for like just under $100 each, and they printed like they were $100 each. It was like
So
perfect prints for the
have-
first week. Never worked well after that.
Have you guys seen the memes of it? It's like the kind of chubbier Asian guy who will like dress up like he'll paint his body and then.
Oh
do
yeah,
full
it's like the
perspective,
cosplay
and
budget.
and it looks like a
Cosplay,
cosplay, right? That was JG Maker trying to mimic the Ender. They were like, yeah, it's close enough, and it's awful.
All right, what about you, Miss Engineer? I couldn't guess in a
Ye-
million years. It's not like any of them have ever drawn blood.
No, not at all. Not like any of them have
Touch the
ever
corner of
sliced
the
my
screen.
finger open. Yeah, definitely the SVO4. That they it also just kind of irked me because
They gaslighted you.
yeah, pretty badly. Yeah, there are people. I really don't care if they see this. So there are very clearly employees of theirs in the comments of my review video for it, trying to like redeem themselves a little bit, because the literally it's a dual extruder printer, so it's really top heavy, and the gantry wobbles like by a whole like half an inch. It wobbles, and they're like, "Oh, it's the table you have it sitting on." I was like, how stupid do you think I am? Anyway, because the table, yeah, sure it wobbles, but like if you put that sucker on the floor, it goes. So, anyway, yeah, they liked to tell me everything that I said about it was just not true. Meanwhile, I had a gash in my finger from it. I was like, all right, we're done. We're done.
It's all in your
But,
head.
yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't cut myself. It's fine. They definitely beveled out those edges on that flexible magnetic bed. But even Jonathan came up here. I was like, I'm not crazy, right? And he like touched the bed. He's like, holy cow. That's not good. So yeah. I have a bone to pick with them a little bit, but if they were accepting of my criticism, I would not be so upset. I think, if they were like, all right, thanks for the feedback, goodbye, never talk to me again. But it's the fact that they like told me I was wrong. I was like, all right, goodbye, sir. So, ta-da.
Interesting.
I think I can guess Kiara's as well. We saw it earlier.
Yeah. The one that's collecting dust underneath my table, the CR10. Which is it's unfortunate because I really wanted it to work. Like I've put a lot of time into like replacing the parts. It doesn't want to work.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
It sucks too because those were like my first two printers were CR10s, and I've like
Yeah.
besides the weird like bed short thing that honestly I literally just unplugged the cable to the bed and just let it dangle behind it, never plugged it back in. But they always worked. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's like
quality
you got a
control
bad
for
one.
If it
you.
was a bed problem, because then I just do that. But it's like, it's the extruder.
yeah.
Don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know if I have to replace the board, but at this point, there's like a point where you just have to stop buying replacement parts and just like get rid of the printer. And I think I'm at that point.
The CR10, it's an old horse. It's an
Mhm.
old it's an old model really at this point.
It
But-
is. If you can find one for like less than $300 or something like that, like 250
Honestly,
or something,
I'd say
like
sub 200
Yeah.
at this point.
really,
Yeah,
I would say
for standard
I-
CR10, definitely.
I would say maybe like if you found one for 250, I would probably I don't know. At this point, though, it's just because the CR10 V2s and the Pro they're just like up in the $400 range and stuff like that. So
I can't
if you're
believe the
looking for a
Max-
big one,
I can't believe the max is still over 300. If Creality drops that under $300, that's like that's it. Like,
Yeah.
that's a great printer size for sub 300, and they'll undercut longer and get rid of the LK5 basically, which is just a CR10 clone. The CR10 Smart was a pile of dog shit, and yeah. And then all the half of the comments in my review video were, "Oh well, you just have to download this firmware. You have to update this." And
Yeah.
it's like
If it doesn't work out of the box, it
You
doesn't
have
work.
to do that.
you you're missing the point. Like this is a review of the printer, not oh I bought this printer, did all these upgrades, and then it works great. CR10S5, but it's that like there's something wrong with this item out of the box, and I'm going to highlight that. Don't give me the fixes for it. That's not what it's about. Like that's a different video. It's this thing's jank out of box. They didn't test it. They threw way too many new features at it at once without testing the damn printer, and then it's like good luck. And then they do what they always do, which is Creality is king for this, is let us figure out what to do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we should have done this. We'll do that now. Oh, we need to. Oh, the firmware doesn't work. Yeah, we'll fix that. It's no test your.
That is
why
definitely
are they still crowdfunding and crowdsourcing shit? Why are
Yeah.
they doing a crowd? They just released the new scanner, which they've been in my
the
email.
CR
they sent me
Scan
that scanner.
Lizard or whatever it's
I've had, it
called.
for, I've had it since December. I've had the damn thing since December. I tried to get it to work on my computer with my nephew, and I couldn't get the software to install. So I just boxed it back up and put it away. And they're like, "We're about to do this Kickstarter program. We'd love your video up in time." And I'm like, "Yeah, we'll see." Like, why are you kickstarting? You're a $1 million company. Why are you still running Kickstarters
Yeah,
for shit?
that's
Like,
one of the I think the saddest parts about how 3D printing companies have changed over the last several years. Because like when it came to Prusa I think is a great example of like community creating mods that then go back in and make machines better. But when Prusa's launched, they weren't like a trial machine. It was a final product that they did open source and then used the community to continue building with it. But the issue is like there's so many companies taking advantage of this tinkering community now where they're just like, all right, we'll just send this out. I remember the days before the Ender 3 existed and the CR10 came with printed components. That was so weird because I remember when I got my CR10S, I was lucky. I was one of the first batches that had injection molded parts because when they made the injection molded parts, they were different than the original extruder housings that were 3D printed. And I remember it used to be like, in the same sense that now a lot of us are like, oh yeah, usually you'll want to get a Capricorn tube. Like that's eventually you might want the metal hot end if it wears out. Just be aware of that. But like, yeah, get Capricorn tubing. It used to be, okay, you got your CR10, immediately reprint all of these parts for the actual housing of the machine because they're just not good quality. They weren't designed well. And then, yeah, eventually Creality took those parts and now you actually see those designs, but it was just done poorly,
Yeah.
so pending Emily's and pending the clear issue Solo has with their customer service and marketing, they did what I think other companies should do. And the SVO3 is proof that they literally looked at all the features people liked on printers and they were like, yeah, let's just put that. Oh, a big bed, BL Touch, silent board, cool. Like they did what I've been wanting Creality to do is like stop adding useless shit. You have these good components. You have like, all right, BL Touch works good on that. All right, the Core XY system works good on that. Or just make like one great printer, but it's like it's always a near miss with them. It's like the CR Smart was great.
They had
in
that
theory.
success, and then for the SVO4, they were like, okay, well, copying
More
other company
features.
worked, so we'll
But just throw another extruder on there. And
Yeah,
that's
like,
not how it works.
They flew too close to the sun, but like
They
like,
girl boss too close to the sun.
yeah, right. That's why I like the Pro V2. It's like, but if you could actually cut the price down on the Pro V2, like, all right, get rid of the silent board, get rid of the touch screen, get rid of like take those two things away. That's like $100, but then you still have like a really badass CR10 that has a BL Touch and metal extruder. Like, make that. Like, make just the good printer. And then they came out with like the V2 and V3. It's like, all right, but why don't they have metal extruders or Capricorn tubes? It's like you always take one thing away to make it jank and stop.
I'm gonna switch it up real quick to answer another question because we got a really good question from Andrew. Recommendations on managing space as you begin, multiple printer setups. because that's definitely
Oh, boy.
something that we've all gone through. Shelves. I think
Yeah.
all of
Oh,
us
yeah.
have bought, like, if not the exact same shelving rack, like the equivalent from another company of the same shelving rack. Like those, like either 18-inch, or I preferred the 2 foot deep ones because of the larger machines. 2 foot deep with like MDF shelves. You can either have it be like 4 shelves tall, or you can have it be like a 2 shelf thing on the ground and a 2 shelf thing on the ground. Live and die by those. We had, I think, in our shop like
But
8 of those.
but Danny, don't the vibrations from the printers make the prints come out bad?
No.
N-
If you've got like a really jank printer and a really uneven floor, then it's like, yeah, maybe weigh down the shelving unit a little bit. But it's like, it's way better than getting one of the ones that has like a super loose like wireframe shelf and then just having
Yeah.
the raw aluminum base sit on those or something, you know?
Well, that's what Galactic Armory. His. I'm pretty sure
I
all of his
know.
shelves were just. But that's fine because the feet kind of fall into the grooves, and it's like, all
Yeah,
right.
he has one printer on each shelf too. I noticed that he doesn't have like two. So like,
Yeah,
it's
that's fair.
not gonna impact it as much.
Yeah,
It
So
doesn't.
it works.
you can make
People
it
get
work. You can definitely make it work. Yeah.
people get so in the weeds about just like what they think matters with no proof. It's like, well, they move and they shake and they vibrate. It's like, are you making parts for NASA, dude? Like, why? It's that precise? You're fine.
Yeah,
You're
when
fine.
when you're dealing with hobby level stuff, which is for the most part what all of us do, it's like, yeah, you don't need your 100 micron tolerance or whatever. A lot of the time, just whatever is the most efficient setup is the most efficient setup for a reason, you know?
Yeah. And if you're using precision, going for that level of precision, you probably have a bunch of Prussias and you don't watch us anyway.
So we got another good question. Direct drive or Bowden? How do you guys feel? I'll wait to answer this one because I've been going first on a lot of these.
I mean, most of mine I feel like are Bowden. If I could have direct drive, I would prefer direct drive. But like most of the printers I have are just like Bowden. So
What were you saying, Kira?
yeah.
Yeah,
I
muffled.
My SVO3 is my first direct drive, and I love it. It's amazing. I haven't had a clog like ever. Um,
Oh,
so I,
Jinx, good job.
yeah. So I'm
It's just
gonna
a
start
clog.
print tonight. It's gonna burst in flames and clog at the same time. So
Um, I will say I've had 2 or 3 clogs. Because there is a small white PTFE tubing inside that direct drive. Um, it's not. It looks harder to take apart than it is. It really is not that bad. The worst direct drive I've taken apart was on the Surmoon D1. Oh my god. Um, but direct drive's cool. I don't know. I have good luck with Bowden. I think it's a matter if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it comes with direct drive, I like it. Cool. If it comes with Bowden, swap the tube, and I like it.
Yeah, I definitely think I love the reliability that you can get from direct drives. The issue is like it's really important that companies do that right. At the same time, um, for the most part, Bowden is almost always going to be good enough for at least the stuff that we do. I printed a lot with like engineering grade materials that Bowden's just did not play well with. Whether it was like ABS or polycarbonate, nylon, those kinds of things, when you pretty much have to have a direct drive for the most part. Um, but the issue is when you get a direct drive that's really hard to take apart, it's not fun at all. Because it's like, if you get a clog, it's not, for Bowden, it's like, oh, you get a clog. It's like, okay, yeah, it's a 15-minute fix if you know what you're doing. It can take so long to take apart a direct drive, especially once you're dealing with, like, if you have multiple printers and all the direct drives are different. It's a huge pain in the butt. I remember that was one of the biggest problems we had with our print farm, having spare parts when you have like a dozen different brands of machines is insanely difficult to keep track of.
Yes.
And that's why now pretty much everything I have is one brand. I pretty much exclusively have Creality or equivalents, like, a lot of the components I can get from McReality and put on a Tronxy type deal. But yeah, that's my opinion on it. It works really well, and you can do a lot of amazing stuff way better with direct drive, but it doesn't inherently mean that direct drives are always going to be better.
It took me 2 hours to disassemble, properly clean, and reassemble the hot end of my Sermon D1 when I had a nozzle blowout. And I know what I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
holy, oh God. It was like on Christmas or something, or like Christmas morning. We were printing stuff for my nieces and nephew, and it just came into a green blob. And I'm like, oh, I just have to, wait, no, I got to take, but, oh, no, wait, oh no.
Yeah.
Like, all went south. And you can't take the hot end off, like the whole assembly, because it's a dual rail system. Like, so you can't, to take it off the rail, you have to take the entire thing apart first. And oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the machines we had were from a company called Airwolf, and it was the exact same thing, where it was like two smooth rods, essentially, with the hot end gantry on it. Was that kind of what the Sermoon was like?
Wait, one more time?
It was like two smooth rods, basically, like going perpendicular to each other. Yeah.
And then and on the rod, there's actually like a machined aluminum block, and that's what the whole hot end sits on, and that's what the belt grabs. Was this block that is like I'd have to take the rails off and pull them. No, but it's a Core XY, so to take the rails off, you have to disassemble the Y just to lift off the. Anyway.
So that's actually a great transition, because I wanted to ask, what's everyone's like biggest failure when it comes to like printing using multiple printers? Like, not just like, oh yeah, I had this one fail and the hot end got all messed up and I had to clean it, but it's like something that you only get because you have multiple printers. Like, I remember there was because we did print orders and stuff, and I came in one day to the lab, and I don't know, I'll say it might have been like 10 prints I started the night before, and 2 of them finished. All of the rest failed. Like, every single one either like ran out of filament, the print fell over, clogged, like 8 machines just walked in one morning, just boom, 8 machines out for the count. And when you have 2 machines, it's like, oh, one machine broke, okay, I can fix that today. When you got 8 machines, you're like, all right, this is going to be like 2 days worth of fixing, and they all happen at once. That's how it only ever happens like that. If you're running just one machine, that's the one that fails. The moment you run more than one, they just all start going catatonic on you at once.
The only thing I can think of is like, if say like I put like one Iron Man forearm on one printer and one on the other printer, and I like forget to mirror it because I just do it back to back or something stupid like that.
Well, what do you mean mirror it? What do you mean mirror it? You mean the files didn't come with the left and right?
But
Sorry,
yeah, I think that's really like the only thing I can think of, I guess, because like I have definitely not mirrored many a things before because I was just going through slicing of files, throwing it on the SD card, slice another file, throw it on another SD card. So
keep in mind, folks, she has a degree.
She's the only one here. She's the only one here with a college degree right now. Along with the only engineer, she's the only one here currently with a college degree.
College doesn't teach you to mirror your parts. I don't know.
That needs to be a sign in like Wall Street.
College will not teach you. You must learn on your own.
It won't teach you to mirror prints.
Oh gosh, someone in the chat said. Oh yeah, never mind.
What? Oh.
Yeah, it's my wife. Yeah.
I guess for me it would be like, so I live kind of out in the country, and if we get like strong gusts of wind, my power goes out. So I feel like running multiple printers at once and then having the power go out is worse than having one printer going and having the power go out. Because like I know you can like resume prints, but I haven't had the best luck with that in the past.
Yeah, you can get bad layer shifts, or it pops off the bed because it's cold.
Who in the software Creality was like, oh, we're gonna start including these really sophisticated glass beds that when they cool down, the prints automatically pop off. So let's make it that when you do print resume and pause, the bed cools down.
I
Big brain.
Yeah, I actually the goblin helmet that's back there. I actually had to pause the print, and I came back to it, totally forgetting that that's how it works. That the bed cools down, and I got really lucky. I let the bed heat back up, and it did not pop off. I got so lucky. I have a tiny layer shift, and that's it.
Oh,
But
BS. BS. I lost a whole goblin faceplate because of that. I ran out of filament
I
and
love
it
there was
cooled
also
down.
a goblin print.
Yeah, it's in my scrap bin right now. Yeah. Guess what the FL Sun doesn't do?
Cool down.
Cool down.
Oh my god! And then eco printing or whatever. I remember that was default turned on my Ender 5 Plus. Left it printing like a 24-hour Iron Man thing that first night I had it, and came back to just spaghetti. And I'm
If
like,
you
what
flip the
happened? Why is the
bed-
bed why is the bed cold? And it's like,
If you
oh,
flip the bed in print pet G, yeah, but no. Kiara, I can kind of caveat off of your multiple printer power outage thing. There is a worse. It's having multiple. What I had three. No, I had two resin printers, and then four FDM printers going. Four of my Solvals going at the same time, and then my dumbass decided to. And there was like a power socket extender on the wall. Like if instead of two plugs, I had six, and I had my printer plugged into it, and then I had a other. I think it was my Wi-Fi box for the garage. And instead of holding the thing on there and pulling out the Wi-Fi because that's what I needed to disconnect, I just grab the Wi-Fi plug and pull it, and it takes everything with it.
Ooh.
And if you guys know anything about resin printing, they don't have print resume because it'd be nearly impossible to figure that out. And yeah, that hurt because it was all of my fault. Every bit of that was my fault. And then I would also print resume on the SVO3s isn't the best, so I had like 3 layer shifts, and I'm like, well, and you can only be mad at yourself. You can't even be mad at Mother Nature. Like, damn you, wind. It was me. It was me. It was all me.
all right. We got another question from Osman. Is there a reason you keep printing? They ask for Etsy orders, but we'll just say for projects in general that we're doing multiple of instead of molding or slush casting. I mean,
I feel like this is directed at me.
I mean, I can definitely contribute to this at least, but you can take the lead on it.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You said it was
Go
targeted
ahead.
at you. Go ahead.
Sure.
Right,
I mean-
I'll say something.
For me,
Ooh.
laziness mixed with initial investment cost. If we like, for me, it's like in the past I've had multiple printers, so that's an expense I've already put the money down for in the past. But doing something like, I don't know, say you wanted to take my Infinity Gauntlet for example. That would be 3 or 4 complex matrix molds. I do have some mold making experience. I have a lot more 3D printing experience. And getting that much silicone and resin is like several $100. So unless I have like orders basically set up ahead of time, going these more traditional replication methods that we saw before 3D printing kind of blew up, which it used to honestly, like, that was the only way, would be something like that. In fact, it was a matter of like, even if you wanted one-offs, it used to be like, yeah, you had to make a mold and cast it if you did like peppercore or something, And so it's just a matter of, if you already have the machines, it's cheaper and safer to just do printing for orders. Because if you only sell, 5 helmets or whatever, if that's what you're making, that material cost or those sales might not break you even for whatever amount of money you dropped specifically on the silicone and resin, but Filament's cheap for that kind of thing. So that's my answer. What about you, Frank?
I don't. I opened up this question a few times with people on like the RPF, and it's not worth it anymore. It's because the slush casting, it holds the same illusion of ease that resin printing does. Oh, just resin print it. It's gonna come out smooth, no cleanup. It boom off the printer, ready to go. but it's not, and no one talks about that. It's like, all right, you also need this machine. You also need to rethink your entire concept of support placement. There's videos of people on YouTube spending hours putting supports on resin prints. Perfect, custom, this spot, like, oh my god. The cleanup, the brittleness, mixing different resins. There's a lot of post processing to resin printing that you and a lot of costs that go into it. It's not just the resin printer; it's all of the extra stuff, and that's the same thing. I feel like slush casting or resin casting have. It's well, just make a mold and then cast it. It's like okay, so now I need the silicone, I need the shells, I need the resin, I need to mix it, I need to have a whole space for this. There's more that goes with it. Yeah, it'd be nice if you could just cast it and pull it out, but you need to get to that spot first. And what if you mix all this resin and you make 10 casts, but people only end up buying 4? What the hell do you do with the other ones? Because you can't really, oh, I'm only going to make 5. Well, you mix the resin, you need to make 10, or then you have all that time of measuring it out, trying to be perfect. What if you mix the resin, but now there's not enough? Oh God, you have to go mix more. It's more to the process where you just have multiple printers and you print it out. Like the quality is there where people don't need this resin cast helmet that can stop a baseball bat. Like it's display. Like oh, I can buy that helmet for, and then if you resin cast it and slush cast it, you have to charge more for it because it's now inherently worth more. But
It's more
I can buy the
expensive to build.
$250. Yeah, I can buy the $250 resin cast Mando helmet or the $90 raw print Mando helmet. Yeah, I'm gonna do the raw print because it's cheaper, and I'm gonna be doing the same thing with it. Like, so, yeah, I've thought about it. I've done all the math. I've looked into it. I've talked to people about it. It just isn't worth it. Now, someone like Dark Knight Effects, someone who exclusively makes like Batman helmets, he makes a lot of the same helmets.
Yeah,
Very worth it.
I was gonna say, large runs, it is still
Yeah.
totally worth it. Small batches,
Well,
one-off things, that kind of stuff, printing it's just more efficient at this point, especially resin printing, depending on what exactly you're trying to do. But yeah, if you are dealing with, either you need something that
Mass
is
production.
way more robust, or you're doing mass production, or even if you're doing like
Molten prop.
yeah, even if you're doing like medium-sized runs, but it's all like finished stuff, because like sanding and finishing a cast helmet will always be shorter time than a raw like PLA print. If you have lots of large resin printers, it's more debatable at that point. But if we're talking FDM versus casting, it's like medium runs of finished stuff or large runs of pretty much anything. It's like casting can save you that time a lot.
Yeah.
But for the
Yeah,
most part,
Jason Props on Instagram, he makes amazing Mandalorian helmets, and that's really all he makes. Vulpin Props, they're a whole company, and they do a lot of casts because they'll do like multiple trophies and multiple helmets for video games and stuff and contests. So like, there is a worth there depending on your production and if you have the space for it. But I'm in my garage, man.
yeah. All right, I think we'll take one last question and then we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. We've been going for a little bit. Let's see. Have you guys tried any metal filaments or metal infused filaments? I know for metal, none of us have, because you need an
Yeah.
SLS printer for that, like straight up metal, which is like 100 grand minimum type machines.
At least.
Emily almost had the opportunity to have something metal 3D printed. Whatever happened with that?
Oh, I mean, I think the offer's still on the table. I just got to think of something.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
What could you possibly want printed in metal? Like
I
something.
mean, I
like,
obviously
maybe a
can't ask for like a full Iron
superhero?
Man suit. I
Oh, you
can't
can
just be.
you can ask for an
You can
Iron
ask.
Man
You
faceplate.
can ask.
Like
you can ask.
Get
I could probably
Walsh's
get.
Mark III faceplate. All those details.
I probably could go for a helmet or something like that. But I was like, do I want to go for like Stormbreaker or like I don't know. I was thinking of some stuff, but I don't know. Maybe I go for the Mark 7 helmet, and then I don't know, because that one's kind of dead. So
Well, I feel like you need something in metal that no one else can possibly have or like would be limited. Like because they make metal Iron Man helmets, but like what's something I don't know, something else.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was trying to think of. So if anyone has any ideas, let me know. So it'd be kind of cool.
Frank, have you worked with like composite filaments before? Or no?
No, but with that new Chitty Tech on the way, the carbon fiber and nylon one, ooh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna break it out. And I think the Lulz bot also, I can swap the head to start doing stuff like that. We'll see.
Yeah, there are filaments that are they're composite filaments that are made to be, I always forget the term. I think it's annealed, which is basically just
Yes.
like you put them in, you know, an oven or a furnace of some sort, and it basically melts the plastic away, fuses the metal composite, and then you end up with a metal part. The thing that most people don't think about though when they get something like that is they think one, like the print they get is like off the machine is metal. That's not it. It's metal and plastic. They think too, like, yeah, once it's annealed, it's like, oh yeah, now whatever came off that printer is now metal. That's also not it. Like different parts, you have to calculate how much they'll shrink when that plastic melts out. That's something that a lot of people forget to do. But yeah, and then when it comes to other composites, there are some where it's like, I remember I printed with an aluminum composite, which for the most part, if you're dealing with like composite PLAs, almost all of the actual like function is cosmetic. Like sometimes you get additional features in the sense of like wood PLAs for composites, like, you know, it's not metal, but wood PLAs you can sand and stain a little nicer than a standard PLA because of its composite. But never confuse getting like an aluminum PLA composite with getting something like 3D printed in metal. No machine that any budget builder maker is going to use is going to be able to print in metal. And I think that's something that people can get confused about a lot of the time.
But it says I can print in real carbon fiber. What do you mean?
You can try. You can always try. Yeah, and then one last point I think I'll say before we end this out is you can 3D print a 3D printer, just not all of it. You gotta buy other parts. We did that once. There are actual printers. You can go on GitHub and probably somewhere on Thingiverse and find project files for machines where the entire frame is meant to be 3D printed on a large machine. Like you can print like basically something the size of a Prusa Mini on a CR10 and then just buy some hardware. So I don't know, maybe one of us will get that bored and do it for a video, so when everyone asks us if we can 3D print a 3D printer in a comment, which is, I think other than the does it fly comment about our Iron Man suits is one of the most common questions we get, we'll finally have something to link to. So that would be nice.
If I ever get that bored, I'll delete my whole YouTube. I think that'll be it. I'll pack it up. I'll go work at Best Buy.
I'll work at Best Buy. I'll be an Apple genius, Apple Store genius.
Good. If I ever have to fish for content that hard. Oof.
No.
All right. Do you guys have any last comments before we wrap up?
Sour Patch Iron Man suit coming soon. Well, we gotta figure it out, but it's gonna be a thing. You just watch.
You gotta make a mold. Going back to slush casting, you gotta do a slush cast with like hot melted sugar, basically, or whatever the heck Sour Patch Kids are when they make them. That's how you'll do it.
Hot melted sugar.
I don't want to know what they look like. I'm not gonna want to eat them no more. Don't show me that.
Everyone touch the corner of this corner.
What? Like
Touch
match
the corner. Yeah, like
we're all in different spots, bro.
Emily, no, I'm looking at the YouTube live. It'll match up.
Oh wait, okay.
Oh well, for the one I see is this.
Wait,
yeah.
I'm on this side.
There it is. Danny, other side.
Wait, what do you mean the other? I'm so confused.
Danny, other side. Yeah.
We're seeing very different things for this live right now.
I'm watching YouTube.
So am I. I don't know. Whatever. All right, guys.
Oh, that's confusing. I just noticed that.
Did you realize?
We're in the same spot. No, we're in the same spot, but mine and your screen, Danny, are flipped.
Oh,
So like in Discord, yeah. So in Discord, yeah. Why is it
Mine
like
flipped too. Yo, Triller, your
mine it's
thing's
not.
flipped.
Hey, whatever. Hey,
Alright.
sorry.
well, anyway.
That's why it's so complicated.
So anyway, thank you guys for coming and hanging out for the second episode of the Iron Idiots podcast. I know that we mentioned last time that this one probably was going to end up being the second episode that we recorded in October, but now I've decided I'm just going to wait until there's a date that we can't meet and just with no context upload like a 6-month-old video, and we'll just see who notices. I don't think we have any references about what time of year it is in that one, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, hopefully the next one will be here in 2 weeks again as well. If you guys are interested in anything else, be sure to check out all of our channels. We all make Iron Man suits. We all do stupid 3D printing stuff. Yeah, thank you guys. Adios.
Yeet.
Oh, we have to watch Danny end his first live stream.
Oh yeah, I have literally no idea how to do
Take a
it.
minute.
We'll see how that
Keep
goes.
waving. Just keep
Keep
waving.
waving.